Coming out of the civil affairs office, Logan tossed a 5 million card at me. These past 3 years, you've been pretty obedient and sensible. Think of it as a reward. You're so frugal, it's probably enough for you to spend a lifetime. And look, even though I am indeed charming, don't get any ideas. We're divorced now, so don't try any sneaky tactics, they won't work. Got it? I quietly nodded and turned away. Got it. Seeing I had nothing more to say, he caught up. Nothing else you want to tell me? I was in a rush to book a private room, shook my head. Nope. He cleared his throat. Well, we were married. You look pretty helpless. I'll get you a job. What did you study? The bar, a club, and a few other high-end places showed the reservations were confirmed. I also called 10 good-looking guys and 5 with great voices from the group. Busy, I replied absent-mindedly, acting. Earlier this morning, after my very energetic husband, Logan, tired me out, he lit a cigarette at the bedside. How many years have we been married? I rummaged through the drawer for his tie. Today's our 3rd anniversary. Yeah, that's about right. He nodded his head. I'll pick a time and we'll go get the papers. I flinched, and a watch in the drawer fell on my foot. The papers he mentioned were divorce papers. Logan shot me a sideways glance, his shirt half open, showing off his strong chest. With that and the cigarette, he looked quite laid back. He smiled. Can't let go? I lowered my head and didn't respond. Logan lightly extinguished his cigarette. Remember what the prenuptial agreement said? The party A can terminate the relationship anytime, and party B shall not disagree. Thinking about this, I pinched myself hard. Logan saw it and chuckled. Can't let me go? If you begged. I threw myself on him, crying enough to soak his expensive shirt. Logan is handsome, skilled, wealthy, and top-notch, but all these aren't the main reasons. The real reason is I was too overjoyed. I would have laughed out loud if I didn't pinch myself. For the past 2 weeks, I couldn't eat or sleep, all worried about this. Logan is who he is, it's always him dumping others, never the other way around. Imagine me bringing it up first, he could crush me like it's nothing. After a while, Logan seemed impatient and pushed me away. That's enough. You've been obedient these years, I won't let you down. I nodded. I understand. I was well aware that over the years, I was merely someone he married to deal with some troubles. As long as I behaved, I'd get my salary on time, and if I did well, bonuses doubled. In these 3 years, I've saved 20 million. Seriously, who wouldn't appreciate such easy work? But, speaking of which, it was indeed just a temporary job. I'm getting older, and I want something stable to rely on in my later years. Logan didn't bring it up, but I was already counting the days myself. Thinking about it, I got a bit lost in thought. Let's set it for next Wednesday. Prepare yourself, and keep quiet about it for now. I'll release a news announcement then. Being the exemplary subordinate, I nodded earnestly to my party boss to show my determination. Satisfied, boss changed into a new shirt and strutted out all proper. Being a trophy wife was never enough for me. I often did some side hustles to make extra money. One of these gigs was running a social media account. The elite circles are like the sea, deep and full of gossip. Being close to it all, I was always collecting rumors and selectively leaking them. Over time, my account grew bigger, and a few small content creators teamed up with me. As soon as I logged in, a small creator messaged me. Jane, breaking news. Breaking news, I happened to open the news. An image popped up. In the picture, there was a tall man with long fingers in a black suit, and a woman in a red dress oozing style. They were hugging, but their faces weren't clear. What a scene of romance. But wait, this guy looked oddly familiar. The small creator sent another message. The chairman of Stars Corp, the chairman, Logan, I replied, oh, not a big deal. Wait, who? Seeing that handsome face, my heart sank. Wasn't it my 6 feet 2 inches, broad-shouldered, narrow-hipped husband? I quickly called back, stopping all the news, and asked someone to check all the channels where this news was still circulating. It cost me a few $100,000 and a whole morning. After everything was swept clean, I slumped back on the couch, exhaling a long breath. Thank goodness I acted fast. Otherwise, if Star's stock fell, how would I survive? Just 5 minutes into my break, my phone buzzed again. I picked it up and nearly tossed away the high-end iPhone 16 Pro Max Logan bought me. Logan texted, "Bring your documents, come to the civil office, divorce." Oh wow, he's in a rush, got a new girl, mind all preoccupied. Perfect for me. I rushed out, and Logan's people were already waiting at the door. On the way, Judy, my best friend, heard I was getting divorced, brought 10 handsome dudes into a group chat, and planned a night out with them. I tossed $1,000 tip in the chat. After the tip was claimed, somebody started showing off their abs, and then everyone joined in. Screen filled with abs made me laugh in the back seat. Alex, the assistant, turned back to ask, "Aren't you going to divorce Logan? Why are you so happy?" I stiffened, sitting upright. "I'm just too sad," using laughter to hide my sorrow. He nodded sympathetically. Logan is just being unreasonable. There was no need to throw a divorce drama. We tried talking him out of it last night, but he wouldn't listen. There was nothing I could say to that, not wanting to get into it either. He said again, "Don't be too upset. Logan is brilliant, but we know a lot of talented young guys besides him. We can introduce some to you." I feigned hesitation. "Wouldn't that be improper?" Alex frowned just a bit. "What would be imper?" I cut him off. "Let's do it then." Alex stayed quiet. After finishing my ab workout, I tossed a 1,000 yuan tip, and straight away, the group chat started buzzing with voice messages. Just as I was about to play them, Alex gave me a heads up, "Ma'am, we're here." I glanced out the car window. Logan was still in the shirt I picked out for him this morning. He was sitting on the steps of the marriage registration office, furiously puffing on a cigarette. When he saw me, he walked over and opened the car door for me. No one could fault him in these aspects. To outsiders, we seemed like a perfect match. Made it faster than I thought. I nodded politely. "Mr. Logan." Both Alex and Logan frowned. Logan took a deep breath, half smiled at me. "You're distancing yourself pretty quickly, huh?" Honestly, I wanted to say we were never that close, but I didn't dare because I still hadn't received the remainder of my payment. So, I had to laugh it off. Just getting used to it a little early. After a moment, he turned and headed up the steps. Smart move. There it is, showing his true colors. Inside the office, the lady stated, "There's a 1-month cooling-off period for divorce. Sign here if you agree." I only remembered about the cooling-off period now. Quickly signed it, but when it was Logan's turn, he seemed lost in thought. I gave him a nudge, "Mr. Logan." He snapped back and signed swiftly. We stepped outside, and I stood at the bottom of the steps. "I'll pack up and be gone soon. Whenever you're ready to finalize the divorce in a month, just hit me up." Logan didn't reply immediately. After a beat, he fumbled in his pocket and handed me a card. The gesture felt both superior and casual. "I appreciate your obedience and sensibility these past 3 years. Think of this 5 million as a reward. You're so frugal, it should last you a lifetime. And hey, although I am quite charming, don't get any ideas about us. Divorce means we're through. Don't try anything sneaky, it won't work. Understood?" Looking at the card, I was thrilled but kept my excitement in check. "Sure thing, Mr. Logan." Honestly, I wanted to thank him, but he's the type to prefer less fuss. So, I just took the money and turned to leave. As I walked away, I started booking at some luxury spots. With 10 handsome guys on my list, I grabbed a few voice actors as well. Money talks, and those appointments filled up quickly. Not far down the road, I noticed footsteps behind me. Turning around, Logan was right there, barely an inch away. Startled, I leapt back. In that split second, Logan reached out, wrapping his arm around me, pulling me in. Breath mingling, I was still shaking when suddenly, my phone blared out a voice message super loud. Sis, when are you coming? I've been waiting forever." I don't know if you know this, but some chat apps have an autoplay feature for voice messages lined up. When they started pouring out one after another, Logan's face mirrored the vibrance of the colorful flowers by the registration office door. Embarrassed, I quickly turned off the audio, smoothed my hair, stood tall, and smiled. Once that was done, I was ready to leave. Logan grabbed my arm, his voice low, "Are you seeing someone else?" I quietly pulled my arm away. "I've got things to do, leaving now, Mr. Logan. Goodbye. He didn't hold on tight, seeming resigned, betraying me, huh? Please. Throwing money at me is one thing, but don't slap me with unfounded accusations. I stopped, ready to set things straight. No, it's just a cousin I haven't seen in a while. Catching up later. Logan squinted through a puff of smoke. My heart raced. But then it hit me, we've divorced. What am I scared of? After lighting another cigarette, Logan seemed to switch subjects. I'll be generous and offer you a job. What's your major? I smiled. I studied acting. Logan looked stunned. Alex swaggered over, carefree, chiming in, acting's great. I always said ma'am's got a face for the movies. Mesmerizes everyone, sure should go into acting. He nudged Logan. Didn't you just invest in some film project? Throw some resources ma'am's way. Wait, this is a thing? They say it's foolish not to take advantage of good fortune. So, playing it up, I gave Logan the puppy eyes. Noticing my gaze, Logan took a long drag from his cigarette and chuckled, we'll see. Whatever. You take what's offered with humility. Times have changed, Logan used to indulge my every request. Now that we're divorced, I can't take things for granted. So, before heading off, I gave Logan a polite wave, unsure if he saw. When the cab I called pulled up, I didn't hesitate. Jumped right in. With just the essentials packed, I just left the villa and settled down when dusk hit. I hailed another ride to Cheeky. Judy, my best friend, had long gathered a crowd there. As I pushed through the door, well, it was a flashy, bustling scene. Judy spotted me, her eyes sparkled. She nudged the cute guys around her, what are you standing there for? Sis, sis, sis. More than one, multiple voices, clear, deep, youthful, nostalgic. So many choices. Honestly, life without Logan feels way too good. With glee, tears of joy welled up in my eyes. Judy yanked me a bit, looking all annoyed. It was right during a music break. She's a soprano in a choir and has a voice that can cut through anything. Why are you crying? It's just Logan, right? Big deal, he's tall, rich, and handsome. Look at you, how can you be such a mess? I shook my head, didn't say a word, half laughing and half crying. I pulled out a big wad of cash from my LV bag, handed out a few $100 to everyone, and kicked off my fabulous party night. Great food, awesome drinks, hot guys all around. After a while of partying, I felt kinda tired and signaled to Judy. Going out for some fresh air. Cheeky is up on the 80th floor, the view is amazing. Watching fireworks from the 80th floor, I suddenly felt a little emotional. Life was so good now, thinking of the past used to make my heart ache. I took a deep breath and was about to turn around when someone suddenly draped a jacket over me from behind. I turned around, and wouldn't you know, it was Jack, the most dashing guy from the office with that CEO vibe. This kid sure knows the drill. Before I could even thank him, I heard familiar footsteps and a voice rounding the corner. See? I knew she couldn't let me go. She's crying. I bet if I... It was Logan, an old acquaintance. The minute they reached us, Jack pulled me in even tighter. Logan's words weren't even out in full when he saw Jack and me looking all cozy. Both of them froze. Alex, next to him, rubbed his eyes. Logan, am I drunk, or is wifey there all huggy-huggy with some handsome dude? Talk about running into your nemesis. Never thought I'd bump into Logan here. I instinctively wanted to say hello. Hadn't realized until that moment that, yeah, we finalized the divorce this afternoon. Nodded at Logan, with a smile. Mr. Logan stayed silent, his eyes kind of reddish, whether from drinks or what. But Alex chimed in first, stuttering. Wifey, it's really you, and this. This guy is. I was kind of stuck on how to explain. This is I'm her friend. Who might you be? A deep voice cut in, throwing me off. Logan snorted, then smiled coldly, eyeing me intensely. I felt a chill down my back. He looked Jack up and down, real slow. Your family run a tea business? Jack looked utterly confused. Nope. Well, go start one, I'll fund it. Jack gave me a puzzled look. I could only smirk. You're gifted in that niche. Jack was speechless. The second most venomous thing in the world is the king cobra. The first is Logan's mouth. Honestly, I was worried. He just wanted to prove our marriage was squeaky clean during our time together. Before I could even finish the Mr. Logan, he interrupted as he brushed past me, all cool and hands in pockets. Don't even bother explaining, I'm not interested. As he walked away, he turned back, sarcastically. Sister. I couldn't believe it. Handsome guys even make walking look cool, and Logan's little windy act had me closing my eyes. Coming back to my senses, he was already around the corner. Alex gave me a smile, awkwardly following Logan, leaving Jack and me exchanging glances. How did I not see his passive-aggressive side before? Back at the pool, Judy came over. Hey, guess who I just saw? I answered without missing a beat. My cheap ex? Oh wow. Judy looked surprised. Man, really, what are the odds? It was a big deal. Sort of, so I downed a drink. Totally, I said. But hold up, something even juicier, look behind you. I turned around almost snapping my neck and locked eyes with Logan. So intense. I shivered. Judy asked, what? The drink. As I said that, my eyes darted to the person next to Logan. Could you believe it? I moved on, yet he stuck to his old flame. He even dared to bring out that rumored girlfriend. Spending so much of my money on him this morning pisses me off. I gulped down 2 more drinks, and Judy tried to warn me. That stuff is pretty strong. I waved her off. I can handle my liquor, never drunk. An hour later. I vaguely heard someone say, let me take Jane upstairs. It's well known, I'm super cautious. I immediately gave my address like clockwork. I live at Tiangong-1, take me back. To Tiangong-1. Jack sighed. Tiangong-1 is a spaceship, Jane. Tiangong-1. Tiangong-1 is my home. Jack pulled me back. Tiangong-1 isn't your place either, Jane. Feeling tipsy, but I sensed the elevator was going up. It is my place. All mine. I started to pitch a fit. Mumbling all the way, the elevator came to a halt. When the door opened, I thought I saw Logan. Logan? No answer. Jerk. My brain wasn't keeping up, still muttering, Tiangong-1, Tiangong-1. It's my home. Someone laughed, and damned if it didn't sound smug, you say. Tiangong-1 is your home? I felt heartbroken. Yes, exactly, it's my home, I love Tiangong-1 so much, but Logan won't sell it to me. I really love that house. A successful person's dream residence, next to beautiful waters, opposite the street of handsome celebrity neighbors. Someone seemed to laugh again, but I wasn't able to catch who it was. I drifted into a stupor. The next morning, I saw breakfast on the table. My brain froze for 2 minutes, and I realized, did I bring Jack back last night? That thought made me feel like I was in an ice bath. Feeling confused, I shakily texted Judy, did I bring Jack back to sleep last night? And he bought me breakfast? 5 minutes passed, no reply. 10 minutes, still no reply. 15 minutes later, Judy finally responded, how did you get home yesterday? Was Jack with you? I can't remember a thing. What? I suddenly broke into a cold sweat. Staring at the conversation with Logan, I realized, damn, wrong person. After 5 minutes of hesitation, I messaged back, sorry, wrong person. 10 minutes later, he replied with 4 words, playing hard to get? Soon, another message came in, if you miss me, just say it. I won't blame you. Trying to make me jealous? I decided to skip past this. A woman with big plans doesn't sweat the small stuff. So, I didn't reply to Logan. I messaged Judy about checking out a studio that afternoon. Money doesn't grow sitting idle, gotta make it work. Little did I know, fate would step in, the collaborator was the woman from Logan's photo. Even though the photo didn't show her face, the red dress, long curls, and the distinctive bracelet on her wrist were all undeniable. She sat across from me, sunlight pouring in, extending her hand with a bright smile. Long time no see, Jane. Her voice pulled me back to long-lost memories of Columbia University days. The years of reckless living seemed forgotten, but right then, the memories ignited. Some things in life happen without reason, but sometimes there's a pattern. If it was Harvey, everything made sense. Judy nudged me, so I awkwardly reached out, forcing the words through my throat. Long time no see. Neither of us was sentimental. We wrapped up the studio rental discussion in half an hour. As we left, Harvey called out, "Jane, have these 2 years treated you well?" I simply nodded. Do you blame me for the rumors a few days ago? In a sense, I didn't really have the right. But my wallet did. No, but I handled the PR. If you're feeling guilty, just transfer me $200,000, or Logan can pay me back. Harvey's eyes widened, caught off guard by my bluntness. Soon, my account showed a $200,000 transfer. Not bad. I was about to leave when she stopped me. Back then, I was young and impulsive, never realizing Logan was so devoted. After all this time, as his wife, have you never felt a thing for him? Then, almost wistfully, she added, he's a good man. From the window, I saw Jack with Judy heading up. They probably got tired of waiting. Next to the window sofa lay Logan's suit. I remembered it well, it was one of the few gifts I gave him to thank him last year. No, I said. Barely finishing my sentence, I turned and saw Logan's handsome face. I hadn't realized he was there, and his cigarette had burned out. Judy's and Jack's chatter brought me back. Jack naturally took what I was holding, tidying my hair along the way. Harvey glanced at Jack beside me, with an enigmatic smile. Boyfriend? I was about to shake my head, but Judy sarcastically chimed in, Harvey has a keen eye. Not sure who she meant. Harvey was quick to reply, really? Then best wishes to you too. Let's arrange dinner sometime. Harvey's arm casually looped through Logan's. Logan didn't move or reject. Casually, he shifted his gaze from me to Harvey. I might not have time next time, squeezing to be with you is enough. The afternoon sun was dazzling. Jack grasped my hand, let's go. In the elevator, Judy clicked her tongue. Do you think those two were up to something behind your back? Suddenly, the air felt dense, and I gasped for breath. Who knows, it's nothing to do with me. After running around all day, I finally started tidying up at night. Opening the suitcase, I found some of Logan's things. Sitting on the couch, I felt lost. I picked up my phone, thinking of calling Alex for help. But unexpectedly, a call came in first. Before I could get the phone to my ear, I heard a loud voice. Heartless woman. She really found someone else behind my back. I treated her so well all these years, and she ran off with someone else so fast. Why does my head feel so heavy? Check if there's grass growing on it. Look for grass, quick. She lied to me. I'm so pathetic. I was beyond annoyed and hung up, then redialed. This time, silence. Alex cautiously asked, Jane? I replied with a simple, yeah. He sounded relieved. Can you come get Logan? He won't leave, no matter what we say. I replied, I'm already in bed. Want Harvey's number? The other end paused. Harvey is. I nodded slightly, rummaging through a few pairs of Logan's underwear in my suitcase. They felt a bit too hot to touch. His new flame? Old love? Couldn't quite find the right word. Alex blinked this time. After a moment, he said something about being sorry and hung up. Long after the call ended, I raised my head to see my reflection in the window, looking lonely, like a wandering ghost. This thought startled me. Then I looked down again at Logan's underwear. What bad luck. After packing up, I was drowsily scrolling through my phone on the couch, getting ready for the studio's opening. Half asleep, someone banged on the door. Startled, I grabbed a vase as I went to look. Through the peephole, it was my delightful ex-husband, Logan. I thought, why is he here in the middle of the night? Logan holds his liquor well, but he sure likes to mess with me. Remembering how he used to mess with me. Even though we're divorced, my back felt cold. So I pretended to be asleep, even went so far as to turn off the lights. After a few minutes, the noise outside stopped. As I reached to turn the lights back on, I heard a click from the lock. The door opened. Logan squinted, his gaze focused on the underwear in my hand. My brain went blank for a second. I said, "Do you want to hear my explanation?" Logan's eyes were a bit red. Leaning against the door frame, he looked a bit rational and intellectual, like he wasn't the one I talked to on the phone earlier. He chuckled lightly, "Go on." I accidentally packed them while gathering my clothes. I held out the underwear to him. "You can take them back. I have a few other things to grab." "That's it?" I hesitated for a moment. Nodded. The next moment a strong smell of alcohol hit me. He pinned me against the wall by the door, his voice hot and moist in my ear. "Are you really with him?" I shook my head. He seemed not to believe it, locking his eyes on mine. "You're lying." I was getting impatient. "We're divorced. He's cozy with Harvey, we're all settled, so why's he making a scene here? You've had too much to drink. Let me call someone to take you home." Logan paused, but didn't ease his grip. He nibbled on my earlobe, whispering familiarly. "Do you need money? 10 million? 20 million? 50 million? As long as you leave him and come back to me." "Logan." I lost patience, face turning cold rapidly. I reminded him. "We're already divorced. I'm happy with the divorce settlement. I used to lack money, so desperately that I'd risk anything for it." Then Logan appeared and gave me a big sum, solving all my problems. Sometimes I'm grateful to him because my life isn't exactly bad. But I never want to go back to that kind of relationship with Logan. Because that was another kind of equally frightening predicament. I want freedom. I want to be away from Logan and live well. After a while, Logan finally let me go. He leaned against the door frame, looking a bit dejected, but his eyes were slightly red and shining. "I'm the one who proposed divorce, but it seems like you wanted it more than I did." His phone rang at the perfect time, showing a call from Harvey. All my patience vanished at once. I nodded, for the first time not pretending to be reluctant. "That's right." He was taken aback, his face turned unpleasant. "You don't even pretend anymore? Wait, so he always knew? It seems like you really wanted to get away from me." His amber eyes made my chest tighten. "What do you think?" I was too tired to respond, pushed him out the door. "Too late, you're drunk, it's time to go home." Logan has gotten drunk a few times before, he handles it okay, but he does black out. Tomorrow he won't remember this. Before he left, I heard something from him that kept me up all night. I tossed and turned, his voice echoing in my ear. He cried, "Jane, you're still so heartless." In the middle of the night, I messaged Judy, "Hey, Judy, do you think there's any chance Logan loves me?" Judy replied quickly with a picture. The woman in it I knew Logan's mom and my former friend, Harvey. The scene was in a bridal shop, Harvey trying on a wedding dress. The chat box was showing she was typing. I guessed Judy was typing and deleting, trying hard to find comforting words, much like myself at that moment. In the middle of the night, I couldn't find any sign that Logan loved me. Instead, I realized I had feelings for Logan. It was telling me, "You're the loser." Fine, that's not a welcome realization. From that day on, Logan and I quietly disappeared from each other's lives as if by mutual understanding. His rumors with Harvey kept surfacing, and whenever asked, Logan's answers were ambiguous, just showing his wedding ring. I noticed that he never seemed to have taken it off. He sure keeps up appearances. During this time, I was busy with Jack and Judy, getting the studio almost set up. The 30 days went by quickly, and it was time to finalize things. Logan didn't make a move. I needed to establish my company, so I wanted to settle things like our household registration quickly. So I hesitantly sent Logan a message. "Hey. The 30 days are up." Logan didn't reply. Sent 2 more messages, silence. The next day I called Alex. He awkwardly said Logan was in the office and didn't know why he hadn't replied. I asked him to transfer the call, and from a distance, I heard the office door closing. Seems like I have to go there myself. Judy heard about this and swore that Logan was talking from his behind and even put together an angry woman confronting a jerk outfit for me. She confidently claimed, Logan must be regretting, realizing my worth in these days apart, not wanting the divorce anymore. My heart pounded heavily for reasons unknown. Then I casually picked out 2 bags for her. I said, he's actually not bad. At least his taste in bags is pretty good. Judy snapped at me for having no standards, saying she wanted to experience life as a woman with no boundaries. When I arrived, Logan wasn't in the office. Alex seemed caught off guard by my visit, stammering that Logan had just stepped out to discuss a contract. The computer screen isn't even turned off. The air conditioning was set at 26 degrees Celsius, and Alex had a layer of sweat on his forehead. I knew my way around Logan's break room better than Alex. When I barged in, things weren't quite like I expected. Harvey had her back to me, Logan was sitting on the sofa, and my entrance seemed to disrupt some sort of harmonious vibe they had going on. "What are you doing here?" Logan was so flustered he even knocked over a water cup on the table. "Am I interrupting something?" I was wondering why Alex was stammering so much. "Guess I really came at the wrong time. Looks like you are busy." I gripped the crocodile skin bag tightly. Damn, this was also bought by Logan. "I just came to remind you that the 30-day cooling-off period is over. We can pick a date to finalize the paperwork." Logan's voice instantly turned cold. "Get out." Surely he's not talking to Harvey, right? "Fine, I'll go." Whatever. Not sure why I was so angry, but I turned to reach the doorknob. "What's the rush?" Before I could grab the handle, Harvey beat me to it with a smile. "I came to discuss something with Logan. Couldn't find him outside, so I came in." "You two talk, Jane, I'm leaving." Harvey's explanation seemed a bit forced. I couldn't figure out what was going on before Logan took a long stride to lock the break room door. It scared me. "What are you doing?" He reached for a cigarette, then seemed to change his mind, giving me a fake smile. "Boss Jane, what's got you stepping down today to grace us?" Seems he heard about me starting a studio, and he's mocking me. Asshole. You keep avoiding, you just wanted me to find you, right? Speak up, I'm busy. And about the divorce papers, you better give me an exact date. If anything, best to take it outside. Locking a break room door in broad daylight, people might get the wrong idea. With every sentence, my annoyance grew. In hindsight, I have to admire how I managed to put on airs in front of Logan for those 2 years. Logan, perhaps unused to seeing me so firm, smiled as he watched me getting mad. "What's got you so fired up today?" I replied instinctively. "None of your business." Logan started moving closer. "Strictly speaking, I'm still your husband." I replied quickly. "Then maybe you shouldn't be so strict, 'cause I haven't been about your private life. Why didn't I notice you're so sharp-tongued before? When is the paperwork getting done?" I was even more annoyed. After a long pause, Logan crossed his arms and leaned on the edge of the sofa, looking extremely casual and indifferent. Then I heard him say slowly, "I don't want a divorce." I couldn't get the words out. That jerk actually kissed me. I slapped him instantly. Logan laughed even after being slapped. He seemed perversely relieved, even delighted. I then noticed the bloodshot in his eyes, like he hadn't had a good night's sleep in days. It made me laugh too, adrenaline rushing through me. I could hear my heart racing. Reason? For half a minute, Logan's gaze lingered on my face. Another lengthy silence, then he spoke. "Star wants to enter the mother-child industry. Being married for 3 years is beneficial, and we could even have a kid. What is marriage to you?" I cut him off, the frantic beating of my heart suddenly subsiding, my words cold. "Your wife, the person beside you for life, is that how you intend for her to exist?" At some point, he lowered his gaze, fixing on the wedding ring on his ring finger. "Why not? You've stayed by my side like this for 3 years already. I genuinely think Logan is the worst person I've ever met. I don't want to." I repeated. I said I don't want to. He didn't seem surprised. Because of that young guy? He's still in college, he might not even be able to support himself. What do you see in him? This almost sounded like jealousy. Sometimes men's possessiveness is oddly funny, downright unreasonable. After the divorce, whoever I fancy is my business, even if he's a street vendor. What's it to you? Logan chuckled. A street vendor is at least a decent person. He isn't even that. Me? President Logan, don't let your possessiveness get too strong. Logan withdrew his gaze from the ring and looked directly at me. So this is called possessiveness. He laughed. Sometimes I wonder, if those young guys didn't exist, would you look at me more? My heart sank. Leave him alone. Logan chuckled, looking down. After a while, he asked. Why not me? I'm not bad-looking, wealthier, more capable, and we get along well in that department. I smirked. That's what you think. Logan's face turned dark instantly, his eyebrows furrowing. From the looks on your face, I thought you enjoyed it. My ears felt hot as if wound up like a toy. I'll say it again, that's what you think. Is that why you don't want a life with me? What's wrong? I can change it. No need. I like someone, even if he's impotent, I'd still live happily. That was just stubbornness talking. Sex is quite important. Logan snorted. At the end of the day, you just don't like me. I hadn't forgotten how Harvey left just moments earlier. The shrill ringtone of my phone interrupted the stalemate between Logan and me. It was Jack. Logan noticed too and let out a mocking chuckle. It's been so many years, and you still go for these pretty boys. I just don't get what's so great about them. My fingers trembled slightly as they gripped my crocodile skin bag, and I prepared to walk out. At least he knows how to respect people. I'll be waiting for you at the Civil Affairs Bureau at 10 tomorrow morning. But I love you. Before I touched the door handle, I thought I was hearing things. Logan repeated it. He said, but I love you. Can you not go? I didn't reply, pretty much ran out of there. None of it meant anything. I'd already experienced Logan's manipulative ways. What a jerk. The next morning, the sun was merciless. I waited from 10 to 12, but Logan didn't show. I couldn't even reach Alex on the phone this time. I was so mad standing in the sun, I almost passed out. It wasn't until evening that Judy called, saying Jack had been in a car accident. At the hospital, I hurried over to see Jack was still unconscious, pale as a sheet. The doctor said he had 2 broken ribs and a concussion, needed observation, but it wasn't too serious. Judy and I finally breathed a sigh of relief. Jack didn't have reliable family, and the police called to say it was a collision between 2 vehicles. The first car had intentionally crashed and belonged to someone rich. They asked if we wanted to settle privately. Judy was furious, saying the world had no justice. She stayed with Jack at the hospital, while she asked me to go to the station and deal with the dog who hit him. I reassured her it was fine, and if the situation was real, I'd fight for Jack, no matter the cost. It was pitch dark outside by the time I drove, my palms covered in cold sweat. In Jack, I saw my younger self. In this seemingly classless society, money always lets some people stand above others. At the police station, the officer first explained the accident. The available footage showed the car in front intentionally blocked and collided, but a part of the footage was missing. The specifics were yet to be investigated. Since there were no severe injuries, the front car's owner wanted a quick private settlement, offering any amount. My built-up composure vanished instantly when I saw unharmed Logan sitting nearby. And Harvey was right next to him. She was patiently dabbing sweat from Logan's forehead, gently scolding him, saying, "Logan, with the wedding so close, why act so childish? What if this gets out?" Logan was unusually quiet. Their easy harmony didn't include noticing me, the one handling the incident. No need to investigate, I told the officer coldly, I know the reason. Last year, we lost a deal abruptly, and soon after, the CEO of that rival company was removed owing to a mistress scandal. He couldn't take it, had a stroke at 2 in the morning, and died. When I first heard, Logan's comment was, "Lucky him." I always knew his ruthless business tactics, but forgotten he could be spiteful. Yeah, dealing with a college student with no connections was nothing to a man like him. He didn't love me, but men do have that bit of possessiveness. Over these years, I never really knew him well. When Logan finally turned to me, several minutes had passed. He looked pale, slightly surprised. "What are you doing here?" Turning to the officer, I said, "We refuse the settlement." Suddenly, there was a tug on my clothes, and Logan was standing right in front of me, frowning. "Don't make a fuss." A wave of intense disgust welled up in me, clutching at my insides. I stepped back a couple of steps, noticing Harvey's surprised look too. What do you want? Don't want a divorce, is that it? Logan's hair was a mess, his eyes glimmered with a bit of confused delight. You're agreeing not to divorce me? Sure, I laughed, if that's what you want, what does my wish matter? You could tie me up if you like. I'd have no choice but to comply. Or you could extend our contract until you finish what you want to do, same pay as before. And with Miss Harvey back, I'm off sleepover duty, right? Logan's face got much paler. Did you misunderstand something about me? There's a lot I didn't know about him, but in some ways, no one knew him better than I did. What's there to misunderstand about you? I definitely owe you from my hardest times, so I have no right to say I wish I'd never met you. But Logan, you can be pretty disgusting sometimes. I wasn't even yelling, just calmly laid it out. After saying it, a rush of relief brought tears to my eyes. I was done. 3 years of pretending was enough. All the pretense and nonsense were welcome to roll away with Logan. Logan stood there motionless, lips slightly parted but silent, while Harvey spoke up for him. Jane, that was harsh. I casually replied, you too. Back in Colombia, I always thought you two were a match. So what was that prideful act for back then? Had to wait until now to meddle in someone else's marriage. Look at us now, feeling like we've just swallowed crap, it's disgusting. Harvey wasn't used to me being so blunt and turned beet red for a second. Jane, isn't that a bit overboard? I smiled. Pretend in front of him all you want, but what's there to pretend in front of me? Enough, Logan interrupted sharply. Guess he couldn't bear me insulting Harvey. In a lengthy silence, Logan finally spoke coolly, I won't force you. If you really want the divorce that much, then I will. For some reason, lingering in his eyes, I saw a hint of grievance. Why would he be the one feeling wronged? Today, I didn't message you because I got caught up with things all day, and then there was an accident in the evening. That's for the best. I was in a hurry to reply, though I didn't really know why I was in such a rush. Whenever you want to get a divorce, just let me know. I've got all the time in the world. After saying that, I glanced at Logan's face. I figured he must be pretty upset with me. Maybe it's better this way for both of us. Just as I was about to leave the hallway, Logan came up behind me. I have a question for you. I didn't turn around, but I could feel the coldness in his tone. If, back then, Lucas hadn't gotten seriously ill, and you weren't desperate for money, would you have even considered being with me? I stopped in my tracks. Lucas. We were never together, I said. From the beginning to the end, I just married you. We were never truly together. I thought I could be strong. But hearing Lucas's name brought a wave of overwhelming sadness, suffocating me. This suffocating feeling made me leave the police station quickly. By the time I got back to the hospital, Jack was still unconscious. Judy said it wasn't a big deal and I should go home and come back tomorrow for my shift. Feeling guilty, I nodded, unsure of how to face Jack when he wakes up. Tossing and turning at night, I couldn't sleep. After taking 2 sleeping pills, I drifted into dreams about many things. When I was 10, my parents fought endlessly over their divorce. The worst time was when they were in the car on the highway, and I heard my dad on the phone, exchanging the most vicious words in the middle of my cries. And then, everything went eerily silent. There was a car accident on the highway that day, and at 10 years old, I had to face the harsh reality of being an orphan. I had no grandparents, no aunts or uncles, and the only relative, my grandmother, refused to take me in because I looked too much like my dad. That winter, with the biting cold winds, I was taken in by a neighbor's child, Lucas. Lucas's parents were kind-hearted people. Despite not being related, they took care of me with so much love. They gave me clean, warm clothes, styled my hair, and even set up a little room for me in their small house. Lucas and I went to school together, came home together, and ate together. His family was poor, but his parents were so proud, saying they had both a son and daughter. I had a wonderful time living with Lucas's family. Looking back years later, I truly understood what happiness meant. At 15, Lucas and I both got into a top high school. Lucas's parents were so happy they got us each a phone so we could stay in touch while boarding. That summer, they rewarded themselves by going to a nearby city to work even harder and earn more money. At 18, I got a call on my old school flip phone that Lucas's parents had died in a work accident. Every time I think about that call, it terrifies me. At 18, Lucas lost his parents, and at 18, I lost parents for the second time. Lucas and I were childhood sweethearts, relying on each other. We had hugged, leaned on each other, wiped away tears, and shared a cup of instant noodles. That summer, Lucas held onto the compensation money and kept a roof over our heads. At 22, Lucas and I both got scholarships to study abroad for our masters. In that glitzy country, I met a lot of rich people. The international students were wealthy, as were the local students. Lucas and I stood out with our poverty. But we had a passion that fueled everything. Lucas said he'd pursue astrophysics and become an outstanding astrophysicist. He believed the universe had endless dimensions, time travel was possible, and stars were countless. He wanted to go back to that winter when we roasted chestnuts as a family. Those chestnuts tasted so sweet. I said I wanted to continue studying finance, make a ton of money, so Lucas could reach for the stars with his feet on solid ground. That year, Columbia University had scenic views outside its windows, and we had bright futures ahead. I was lucky and got a dorm room. Harvey was my roommate, the first friend I made abroad. Her family was well off, yet she never distanced herself because of my status. I considered her my best female friend that year. I got to know Logan better when he repeatedly handed me double snacks, lunches, and gifts. Harvey mentioned they weren't really close. Before school, their families had business ties, and Logan's family hoped they'd marry. But she had someone she liked. I remember he was tall and skinny, not rich, didn't seem special, but Harvey liked him. Or maybe she liked that she couldn't easily win him over. Back then, Logan was even more charismatic. He'd often jump in front of me with double treats, not saying much. I knew one was for Harvey, the other was his way of thanking me. He was quite handsome. Not many guys had such fair skin, red lips, white teeth, tall and lively. Yet, studying in the library, he was calm and mature. Actually, long before this, we had another encounter, which lingered in my dreams for several nights. It was a pretty ordinary evening when I was waiting for Lucas after class. I had 2 burgers from outside campus. That night was a bit out of the ordinary too. I had nothing but those 2 burgers because I got mugged while buying them and lost all my cash. The safety abroad isn't as good as people think. I can't tell Lucas, he'd give me all his living expenses, work more jobs, and care more about me than himself. I was sitting on a bench near the school, a spot where not many people pass by. I was cursing out those hooligans abroad in my hometown dialect for about half an hour. I swore that one day, I'd make a fortune and lock those little punks away to do hard labor every day. In the end, I ate both burgers. Nobody would know how much trouble my mouth could get me into abroad. The burgers were delicious. After finishing, I finally heard a chuckle behind me. That was the first time I met Logan, a moment just for us. He didn't say much, just smiled at me. He was broad-shouldered with a narrow waist, wearing a white tee. When he stood before me, light spilled around him. He seemed a bit above it all. Then I saw him casually pull out a wad of cash from his wallet. Yet, the way he handed it to me wasn't flashy. I'd never seen something like that. His voice came from the front. At that time, all I could see was his back, and his hair lifted by the breeze. He said, "You're pretty cool for eating 2 burgers alone." Later, I remembered that scene for a long time. After that, Logan would often show up in front of me, bringing various foods and gifts. I passed them all to Harvey, along with some unclear excitement I was feeling. Things changed in the winter of the second year. I was downstairs, with my laptop, witnessing the aftermath of an argument between Logan and Harvey. It was rare for Harvey to be so unrestrained. She told Logan to give up. She said she wouldn't have anything to do with him even if she rotted at home, that he was the most distasteful, disgusting person she'd met. I was at the doorway, caught in a dilemma, watching Harvey slam the door. And Logan stood there in the night. It wasn't until I passed by him that his eyes showed a flicker. I thought Harvey's words must have really hurt him, considering he liked her. It was one of our few conversations. I said maybe Harvey was under pressure from her family, she wasn't usually so bad-tempered. Logan lowered his eyes and handed me something. His tone was cold. He said, "Her temper's got nothing to do with me." He said it wasn't related, but he still handed me 2 burgers. I understood everything by then. Logan didn't stop sending things. A week later, Harvey mentioned the incident again. She felt a bit guilty for misunderstanding Logan, but the overwhelming joy she was feeling distracted her from that guilt because she was in love. She was giddy with the sweetness of it all. She casually mentioned Logan, saying he probably didn't like her either and was only acting friendly because of family pressure. I don't really get those high society marriage arrangements. Only the latter part hit me hard, like a bolt. She said she knew. I had told her about that night, the one under the starlit sky when someone was there, it was Logan. I felt like the biggest fool, scrambling to explain myself, but she just nodded encouragingly. She said maybe, if we truly had a connection, it could relieve some pressure from her home life too. That night, I tossed and turned in bed. Harvey's love was pretty open, known by everyone. But Logan still occasionally sent things my way. Finally, there was a time when I questioned why he kept giving me things. This time, Logan didn't stay silent. His eyes darted around, the sun made his face blush as he said, "Just take it." Why worry about why? His words were ambiguous. But somehow, I didn't refuse. On the way back to the dorm, the wind felt so free, so warm. After that day, whether by coincidence or intention, I often saw Logan around. Sometimes we'd talk a little, and it made my heart flutter. His gifts ranged from burgers to milk he brought back from trips, not always fresh. Then there were 2 white scarves, and, finally, a small bunch of red tulips. I'd never felt so nervous in my life. Before Logan could say anything, I fled. I wandered in the cold wind for hours. I thought about a lot of things, about that starry night, my relationship with Harvey, the gap between Logan and me, my turbulent past, and my future. When I went upstairs, Harvey wasn't home. There was no message from Logan. Only a text from Harvey, saying she wouldn't be back that night. The next day's sunshine was so bright. I still remember the excitement when I held that bunch of red tulips. And the meaning of red tulips, a passionate confession. But I didn't see Logan. Messages sent out never got a reply. Logan and Harvey both disappeared. Half a month later, I got a message from Harvey asking me to pick her up from a party. At that party, Logan sat in the center of a round table, facing the door, surrounded by people from their circle. The waiters served carefully, and from the lavish menu and casual conversations, the gap between us was stark. That meal made me very uncomfortable. Logan saw me, but there wasn't any emotion in his eyes. Harvey sat beside him. I tried to speak several times, but no sound came out. Harvey drank a lot that night. In the car, she cried her heart out, saying her family was in trouble, running out of funds, and her beloved boyfriend had abandoned her without a trace. She couldn't believe he only loved her money. She said a lot that night. Finally, she said her family and she had given in, agreeing to the marriage alliance. She kept apologizing, saying she was desperate, didn't want to see her father's life's work ruined. People from my background can't understand how terrifying it is for those high up to fall. I'm already calm. Honestly, none of this really matters. While I was taking a break from eating, I overheard the people next door smoking in the hallway. They're Logan's friends, chatting here and there about bits and pieces. But somehow it made my mind incredibly clear. They said Logan's really slick with the ladies, a knight in shining armor when it matters most. They also said that no woman can watch her sister with her ex-crush and feel nothing. There's rivalry between women too. Then they started saying I'm biting off more than I can chew and don't know my place. Finally, I heard Logan's voice. He casually said, "Don't talk about it." He told them to stop talking, but he didn't deny it. He was always there. I dreamt up to this point, and I couldn't tell if it was real or not. My heart hurt like hell. The scene switched quickly. It was right before graduation. Another nightmare. By then, Harvey, Logan, and I hadn't spoken in ages. I was kneeling beneath the white walls of a hospital, praying, hoping Lucas would be okay. Lucas was 24 that year. He collapsed while eating with me before he even touched the ribs he had given me from his plate. His most promising moment in life was sentenced to death on the spot. Acute leukemia is expensive. I borrowed all the money I could, but it wasn't near enough to cover the medical bills. Medical costs are high in a foreign place, and Lucas couldn't afford any delay. I watched him wither away day by day before my eyes, and the pain was unbearable. Lucas and I grew up together, sticking by each other. If I could, I'd exchange my life for his without a second thought. I remember vividly, it was raining hard that day, the hospital was bustling. I knelt before those white walls, Logan's black pant hems lit up in front of me. He still looked down at me, still noble and lofty. He didn't help me up but instead knelt in front of me and asked if I'd consider marrying him if he could pay Lucas's medical bills. I didn't hesitate or doubt for a second, as long as there was money to save Lucas, nothing else mattered. But Lucas still passed. At 24, I lost for the third time. Did I just lose Lucas? I guess not. It feels like I lost everything. I often have nightmares where Lucas is a mere skeleton, lying on my lap, asking if I want some sweet chestnuts. I'm caught in overwhelming fear and the lack of security brought on by financial shortage. Sometimes, I wake up beside Logan, quietly crying. Because we were poor, my parents fought endlessly and eventually perished in a car crash on the highway. To earn an extra $30 a day, Lucas's parents went with some shoddy construction crew. Since he was afraid to spend money, Lucas felt unwell countless times but never dared visit a hospital. When he finally left, the foreign land poured with rain, and he didn't even get to see a single star. But if I had money, could I have saved everything? Probably not. Yet, I keep tirelessly chasing money. It seems to give the faintest sense of reality. I woke up at 4 o'clock, the sky faintly lightening, and found a message from Judy. She said Jack woke up not long after I left and told me not to worry, everything's fine now. Below was a message from Alex. He mentioned some extra clauses in the divorce agreement and said Logan gave me even more assets. Staring at Logan's firm signature, my chest felt tight. I replied with a simple okay. This time, we really reached the end. Alex responded quickly, asking why I hadn't slept yet. I shot back, no need to persuade, I've made up my mind. The chat window showed he was typing, and after 2 minutes, he said, Logan is in the hospital too. I quickly typed, he deserves it. Alex then asked, Jane, from past to present, haven't you ever had a thing for Logan? Seeing this, I knew who was on the other end. I replied, no. Whether I did or didn't doesn't matter now. After a while, Alex messaged, I hope you find happiness. Logan and I completed the procedures smoothly. We barely saw each other. In a rushed glance, he looked a bit thinner, everything about him sharper. Jack was young, and small injuries heal quickly. But it takes 100 days for bones and tendons. In those 2 to 3 months, I was extra busy. Winter came, and news about Logan was everywhere. Something about him and Harvey getting engaged. Sometimes I'd find myself daydreaming, staring at the snow outside. My thoughts drifted back to that rainy Manhattan day. It was a once-in-a-century rainstorm. Logan's hair was soaked in the hospital. Recently, I keep dreaming of that scene. In late winter, I visited Lucas. His grave was clean, with 2 burgers placed there. I couldn't think of anyone else visiting him. Next to Lucas was a young girl's grave, her mom often visits her. As I was leaving, I ran into her. After brief chit-chat, she asked, Didn't come with your husband today? I froze on the spot. Who? He said his name is Logan, isn't he your husband? I saw him yesterday. Those words struck like lightning. Back home, Jack and Judy had prepared a feast. But I didn't taste anything. Jack seemed hesitant. Finally, while Judy was washing dishes, Jack spoke up. He said, Jane, I got the accident report from the police. Are you thinking of suing Logan? Considering he's just a college student, some fear is understandable. I reassured him not to worry, I'd handle everything and promised him a resolution. Jack looked puzzled. He asked, why sue? I looked down and said, he made a mistake, he should face the consequences. Jack was silent for a long time, then asked, are you confused about something? He said that running into Logan on the road was a total coincidence. The only reason he ended up in front of him was because a truck ahead almost tipped over. I wasn't at the scene, so I didn't know the details. These words froze me in my chair and had Judy rushing out from the kitchen, brandishing a spatula. She yelled that Jack must have hit his head, insisting Logan couldn't possibly be that kind-hearted. Jack shrugged helplessly, saying that things were complicated back then. Our misjudgment was understandable. Judy's spatula now seemed a bit out of place. She gave me a few nudges before I finally snapped out of it. She said we had wrongly blamed my ex-husband. My palms were sweaty, just as a notification came through on my phone. It said Logan and Harvey were getting engaged the next day, and it'd be a grand affair. I said flatly that I wouldn't press charges and that I'd go withdraw the case. That night, I tossed and turned, unable to sleep. Early the next morning, I headed to a scenic spot in the neighboring city. I turned off all notifications on my phone, doing nothing but sitting by the floor-to-ceiling window in a seaside villa, watching the snow. I roasted a bunch of chestnuts for myself, but they never tasted as sweet as that winter when I first came to Lucas's house. On the fourth morning, I returned to the studio to countless messages and many missed calls from Logan. But before I could check them, an unexpected visitor showed up, Harvey. I didn't think her visit would be anything welcome. As I passed by her, I was the first to speak, "Congratulations on the wedding." Harvey looked shocked. "You didn't know?" Logan didn't show up on the engagement day. My steps halted suddenly, my heart skipping a beat. "So, are you here to settle scores?" "I'm returning to the US." Harvey seemed unusually calm today, and I couldn't quite grasp her intentions. "There's no need to tell me this," I said. "We weren't friends anymore." "I know. I don't deserve your forgiveness, whether then or now, but Jane," she paused, "I don't regret it. I had no choice." All these years, she hadn't changed. Everyone who makes mistakes has their reasons. "Are you done?" I didn't want to argue, moving forward. "You can leave now. I'm here to tell you, all this time, Logan and I weren't together. That's got nothing to do with me." My mind was a mess, growing more so, filling me with frustration. "It matters, Jane. Whether then or now, he's always liked you." I said, "You're really confusing." I didn't want to entangle myself any further, letting her say whatever she wanted. "Back then, I told him you had a boyfriend." Her voice was light. Snow fell outside the window. Silence filled the room. A deathly silence. I suddenly remembered, after the humiliating banquet, Logan came looking for me once. That was the first time Lucas met Logan. Lucas and I grew up together, like family, like siblings. Crying in his arms was a common thing when I was upset. And there was Logan, not far away, and when I lifted my head from Lucas's arms, our eyes met. It was one of the rare times I saw an unreadable expression on Logan's face. That was the day after that banquet. That was also the first time I learned Logan smoked. He stubbed out his cigarette before speaking, his voice hoarse, asking, "Is he your boyfriend?" Lucas instinctively pulled me behind him defensively, and I stepped around to face Logan. When danger approached, it was understood we'd protect each other. After a long moment of silence, Logan laughed. "I can't do anything to you, do I seem that bad?" "Yes," I replied without hesitation. He looked down, his eyes obscured. That was where we left it. Thinking back, I realize how vividly I remember the look on his face. I no longer recall how Harvey left. I spent the whole morning staring blankly at the snow outside my office window. I wasn't sure. I just kept thinking back, remembering the years we were entangled. Our first meeting at Columbia University, when he saved me from a tight spot that night, was our secret. Later on, he became something I couldn't fully grasp. That banquet left me bitter towards him. The hospital's stark white walls left me nowhere to hide. But countless times in the last 3 years, thinking back to that day, I couldn't quite pin down my feelings. I did like Logan. I did. The snow fell for 2 days. On the first clear morning, I took some chestnuts to visit Lucas. When lost, I'd always have Lucas by my side. Even now, I seek him out when I'm confused. Every time I go to see him, he's there. This time, I also ran into the mother of the little girl next door. She greeted me warmly as usual and said, "Your husband is visiting today too." I looked up to see a black figure squatting at Lucas's grave. My heart inexplicably started pounding faster. The ground was clear of snow, and as I got closer, I could hear Logan talking. Even at the grave, he kept his voice light. "I've visited you so many times. Have you tried to persuade her in her dreams? You can't just take and not give. I heard you liked burgers." With a natural gesture, he brushed the snow off Lucas's grave with his sleeve. "Brother-in-law, do you not like the taste? But, I think you can't persuade her. Maybe she's into a new guy now. I don't even know if she'd take me back. He paused, his eyes dimming. How could I be so dumb? You two obviously don't match. She and I are the real deal. Sorry, I always thought you were the cute guy. But you probably don't mind, I'm pretty easy to get along with, right? He's got a thick skin. So, what do you think? Do you think I still have a chance? Would she take me back? He said. I really think I was pretty stupid. I'll never do that again. In the photo, Lucas had that gentle smile. He didn't reply. Only the cold wind after the first snow stung my eyes. After a moment of silence, he suddenly looked up. I saw it. That day, I saw her comment that there was still a chance. Brother-in-law, she did like me. I was too dense to see it. He picked up that bunch of red tulips by his side and waved it with pride. These flowers aren't for you. I just came to see you. Tell me, will I succeed? If you think I will, just blink. I won't be scared. I finally couldn't hold back, my voice choking up. I said, are you some kind of idiot? Logan didn't move. But I noticed his hand holding the tulips was trembling slightly. Maybe the wind was too cold. I barely said anything and broke down crying. He stiffly turned his head and sighed heavily. Awkwardly, he tried to wipe my tears. I asked, have you missed me? Do you have lots you want to say? The guy who just couldn't stop talking went silent. A long silence followed, and those beautiful eyes turned red. I turned away. If you have nothing to say, then forget it. But he suddenly caught up, pulling me into his arms, voice choked with emotion, mingling with the howling cold wind, careful. He asked. Do you still like red tulips? The end. Logan, Epilogue. From the moment I was born, I had plenty. A big house, a fleet of bodyguards, endless money, countless envy. My dad was tough in business and my mom boldly went through finance. They barely spent any time with me. In my childhood, I didn't even have friends. Always surrounded by tall bodyguards and busy yet not so busy caretakers. At 6, I won my first competition prize. It was the first birthday with both parents around. When they asked what I wanted, I bravely said I wanted to be with them always for our family of 3. After I spoke, no one answered for a long time. The room went quiet. Suddenly, my birthday returned to the usual buzz, like my wish never existed. Little did I know at 6, being born from a loveless union labeled me a disgrace to both of them. They never fought in front of me, not for sparing my feelings, but because they didn't want to see each other. The first time I asked for love and attention came out in my losing my parents and home swiftly. Afterward, I was sent to live with my grandpa. Strictly trained as an heir. At 10, when I excelled, I asked for a reward to vacation with a new friend from school. He was the son of the school's gatekeeper, not attending my private school, always in worn clothes, sharing fresh perspectives with me. The day after, I was never to see that friend again. The gatekeeper was gone. At 10, I didn't cry over family conflicts like a 6-year-old. I just stopped expressing love or needs. My growth went smoothly. High school, university, countless air training sessions, a master's degree in the US. One ordinary night, out of nowhere, my mom posted about her joyful and treacherous late pregnancy. The woman in the photo looked different, cradling a new baby with a love I only saw in movies, never felt personally. It was after 2 sleepless days rushing a deadline, and it was my birthday. At a bench near school, counting Manhattan lights, I felt a bit sad. A girl sat behind me. I swear in over 20 years, I'd never encountered such a straightforward girl. Countless socialites faked niceness to get close, but she sat quietly, cursing delinquents. An odd skill. She cursed loudly and for long, and I had patience. I even sensed the warmth of her presence. She ate 2 burgers, a simple joy my old friend talked about. She could curse and enjoy cheap food freely, like pure bliss. The Manhattan lights looked like starlight on her face. Words failed to describe the moment, it was like witnessing a free soul. I left her cash and saw her shocked face, said the least wise compliment of my life. As I walked away, I heard her say, "Happy birthday." She raised the cake I'd left. That night, something ordinary turned special. I started noticing her frequently, finding her immensely beautiful and adorable, especially when eating. It was comforting yet heart-racing. She carried a vibrant energy. To me, it was irresistibly attractive. Meanwhile, my family pushed me towards Harvey, a marriage ally. I saw no point in retracing failed steps. Especially since I was sure I had someone I truly liked. I really liked someone. I started buying her food a lot. Gifts, all in pairs. Every time she uncertainly accepted them, I felt accomplished. Back then, I didn't understand that loving someone was like taking care of a flower. You always worry if it's cold, if it's hot, if it's hungry, or too full. Giving her food had become a habit, my daily homework. Then one day, while waiting for her outside her dorm, I ran into Harvey by chance. I had heard rumors that she liked someone. She hysterically cursed me, saying she'd never be with me no matter what. By then, I had already told my grandpa that I would never marry for alliance. But her words made me dislike her. I thought she was crazy. Jane cursing, though, was charming. Later, I read a saying, love feels deeper because of differences. That night, she unexpectedly said 2 words to me, comforting me. I was thrilled inside but dared not show it. The pain of childhood is always an immense gap to bridge. But I was sure she was worth it. Spring came quietly, and I loved seeing the blush on her cheeks. I finally gathered my courage. They say red tulips symbolize passionate confession. The sun was just right that day. But she said nothing. Only when she saw the tulips did panic cross her face. I watched her flee, feeling frozen all over. That night, I was urgently called back home. Harvey's family had financial issues, and Grandpa's condition was marriage. That was the first time I disobeyed my elders. And I got my first severe beating for it. I broke a rib, and my phone was taken. I had never felt so anxious. After half a month in bed, I rushed back to Columbia University. At the campus gate, I saw she was with someone good. Harvey appeared at the perfect moment. She said, "You're confused why she ran off without a word when you had flowers? That's your answer." I saw her with them, laughing and joking. I had never felt such an ache inside. She went on, "All those times you bought her 2 servings, she gave them all to me. Never ate a bite." That guy? Lucas. Jane's boyfriend. They were childhood friends, deeply in love. So, your best option is still me. I don't remember how I left that day, just lost. That night at a party, I saw her again. Speaking was the hardest then. But a fire burned within, unsettled. I thought until I heard from her, it wouldn't be an answer. Of course, I'll always remember that day. I recall her wary look, disgusted face, and certain answer. I still refuse to marry Harvey. Some people make others seem like just settling. I still think of her often and resent her. It's a mix of emotions, but every time I pass that bench, I sit. I guess she didn't do anything wrong. She just didn't like me. Later on. It was a summer just before graduation. Under the hospital's white walls, I saw her trembling in tears. If you've ever loved someone, you'd know your beloved's tears are the most blistering thing in the world. It rained heavily that day. I didn't hesitate. Even if it seemed like taking advantage? I knew acute leukemia has a low cure rate. He was gone. I feared her struggling alone. This was my second time defying elders. It cost me 2 ribs this time. But thanks to the first, I was used to it. Plus, I had a wife now. When taking wedding photos, I glanced at her carefully. She didn't seem happy. But she smiled in the end. I was happy, it felt like a dream. I thought we might have a new beginning, without Lucas, Harvey, or any complicated past. When it came to intimacy, she initiated it. Wow, it's really nice and addictive. I always felt we'd love each other then. 2 months into marriage, we seemed okay. She learned how to tie my tie. She didn't love to sleep in but loved staying in bed. Pulling her out to tie my tie, looking at her messy hair and on tiptoe stance, it truly felt like she was my wife. On our 100th day, I bought a bouquet of tulips. Returning with the tulips, I found her watching a movie on the couch. When she lifted her head and saw the flowers, her expression soured. She didn't take the tulips. She said there was no need for things to be that way between us and she no longer liked red tulips. That night, she called Lucas's name multiple times in her dreams. She woke up in the middle of the night, her pillow wet with tears. I wanted to hug her, but before I could, she shrank to the other side of the bed. Half a year into marriage, she learned to hide her feelings, feigning joy. She didn't want to see the northern lights in Switzerland with me, or the snowy mountains in western Sichuan, or hold hands at the world's end. Seemed like, besides money, she didn't enjoy much else about me. 2 years into marriage, she still called Lucas's name in her dreams, and I learned to conceal my feelings gradually, too. By the end of the 3rd year, on Lucas's death anniversary, she drank herself into a stupor. She said she missed Lucas. I asked, what about Logan? She said, Logan was the person she hated most in the world. That night, the breeze on the balcony snuffed out all my cigarettes. I scrolled through her rather sparse updates. One read, love isn't something that can be forced. Indeed. Feeling love is often unavoidable, so is not feeling it. Our contract ended, and so did we. That morning, I proposed a divorce. She couldn't hide her delight. Harvey sidled up. Pressured by my family, I had some polite interactions with her. I didn't even get a chance to explain, but she quickly resolved all the rumors. She quickly had someone new by her side. And that person, if you looked closely, had some resemblance to Lucas. She was very protective of him. My jealousy drove me mad. I was still holding on. Until that car accident, when we met at the police station, she said I made her sick. I couldn't even argue. I was afraid that even speaking up would disgust her. Maybe some things really can't be forced. I let her go. Agreed to the engagement arranged by my family. If it's not her, maybe anyone would be the same. I visited Lucas a few times. At his grave, I said I was actually easy to please. I just wanted her to have a bit of affection for me. It was a windy day, and I brought Lucas 2 burgers. On the way down the hill, my phone pinged with a notification from an old app. That account only had her. It was a notice syncing with her comment update. I do. Attached was a picture of the tulips I first gave her at Columbia University. No one knew how I felt then. I wanted to kiss Lucas's tombstone. After breaking off the engagement with Harvey, she seemed calm. She asked me if I would still choose Jane. I said no. She was never a choice. I guess I've never been that good at loving someone. But I've always been certain. Harvey was silent for a long time and then suddenly laughed. At that moment, I saw a sense of relief in her eyes. She told me many things from a long time ago. That day, my heart was like a jar of butterflies spilling over, vibrant and colorful. 3 days without any word from her was torturous. I searched everywhere and finally came to talk to Lucas. Then, she appeared. Just like back then, I turned around, and there she was standing behind me. Red coat, white scarf. Luckily, she still liked red tulips. After that, year after year, red tulips bloomed in the house, never fading. Bonus. 2 different journeys. The night before the wedding, I opened the message board. A long time ago, that was how we communicated. I opened a small account, with just one person in the list. Naturally, I clicked into the space while lying on the bed. I saw messages left by the account owner to themselves. November 12, 2014. Wow, how can a girl eat 2 burgers at once? She's awesome. November 12, 2014. She looks so beautiful. February 24, 2015. Met her again, what's that on her eyes? In the sunlight, it sparkled like a peacock. So impressive. March 18, 2015. Saw her in Switzerland, the red coat looks great. A white scarf would be perfect, though, isn't it cold with just a coat? April 5, 2015. Hey, she accepted my 2 burgers. April 18, 2015. I think I like her. I like her. April 20, 2017. She said the milk went bad. It was my gift from Switzerland. I didn't want to drink it, so I saved it for her. Wow, she can taste spoiled milk just like that. April 24th, 2015. She's shy. Must have been dazzled by my charm. April 30th, 2015. Why has she lost weight? May 3rd, 2015. She can tell apart lettuce from bok choy. That's impressive. May 19th, 2015. I want to be with her. I want to be with her. May 19th, 2015. Does she have feelings for me? May 19th, 2015. When we get married, I'll build her a snack room filled with treats. 4 portions. After we have kids, I'll get 5. May 19th, 2015. Let's have 2 daughters. Not sons. But if they look like her, having one is fine. May 19th, 2015. I'll buy her lots of red coats because she looks good in them. May 19th, 2015. Where should we hold the wedding? Feels like she'd like Switzerland. May 19th, 2015. Honeymoon could be in Switzerland too. May 19th, 2015. Can't sleep. So excited. May 20th, 2015. Heartbroken. May 20th, 2015. He's such a delicate-looking guy, doesn't seem great in any way. What's so good about him? How is he better than me? May 21st, 2015. Turns out, the stuff I bought, she didn't eat any of it. Bold. Daring Jane. How dare you trick me? May 30th, 2015. The master said it. Scorpio and Taurus are more compatible. Capricorn doesn't work. June 14th, 2015. Oh, read it wrong. Capricorn and Taurus are more compatible. Ridiculous, this zodiac stuff, all lies. June 20th, 2015. Jane, I won't forgive you. June 25th, 2015. I won't forgive you. July 20th, 2015. No, I still need to ask, how am I not as good as that guy? July 21st, 2015. She's afraid of me. July 21st, 2015. Forget it. Then, a 2-year hiatus. July 4th, 2017. Wow, why is she crying so sadly? Is that guy better than me? Also, I haven't forgiven her. August 15th, 2017. She said she wanted burgers. I bought 2 again. September 20th, 2017. Not sure if this is right. We definitely will be happy. October 25th, 2017. Red coats still look good. October 28th, 2017. Dreamed she changed her mind. November 12th, 2017. Snack room is done now. Almost there. 2 kids' rooms too. November 20th, 2017. Tomorrow I'm getting married. To her. When I finished reading, it was 11:58. I wiped away my tears and typed into the message box. May 6th, 2021. Silly, I'm marrying you tomorrow. Come get me early, bring a burger. Make it 2, don't let me be hungry. The end.